Well, here we are on lesson 4, and in this lesson we're going to do some drawings, some colorful drawings. You see on the screen here, I've got 3 drawings. It's a bunch of circles, a bunch of squares, and a bunch of triangles. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how to do the circles and then let you figure out how to do the squares and the triangles. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play this program for you so you can see how it runs. So notice how it starts drawing, and each time it draws a new square, circle, or triangle, it picks a new color. So we'll just let it run for a little bit. Okay, so now how did we do that? Well, let's take a look. So let's try to draw these circles here. Notice that this ring here consists of many circles, so we're going to start, we're going to try to repeat that. So let's first start, go to File, and we'll go to New, and notice it created a new project. We've got a new icon here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this, or it's called a sprite. I'm going to get rid of this sprite right here. I'm going to click on the garbage can, and then I'm going to add another sprite, and the sprite I'm going to use in this case is a ball. Okay, now I'd like to make that ball a little bit smaller, so I'm going to change this size here. I'm going to change this to, let's make it 25. Okay, so it's a little smaller. Okay, and I can move that around if I hold my mouse on it and then hold my left mouse button down. I can move that wherever I want. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Well, the first thing we got to do, we want to move it. Okay, so I'm going to use the motion, and I'm going to move it 10 steps. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate it. So how do I rotate it? Well, we got to turn it. Okay, now this says 15 degrees. Okay, I'm actually going to make that 20. Okay, so I move 10 steps. Okay, and turn it 10 degrees. So I'm going to click on that, and if you notice, okay, it's moving. Notice how it's going in a circle here every time I move it. Okay, so that's good. Okay, now the other thing we're going to have to do is, in order to get it to draw, we want to put the pen down. Okay, but let's do this first. Let's do a repeat here. I'm going to go to Control, and I'm going to repeat this. Okay, oops, don't want that. What I want is I want it to look like this. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to repeat this 18 times. And the reason I want to repeat it 18 times, if I move it 20 degrees every time and I move it 18 times, that's 360 degrees. So there's 360 degrees in a circle. And if I click on that, notice how the ball rotates around 360 degrees. Okay, so now I've got a circle. So now the question is, how do I get it to put the pen down? Okay, so I'm going to go over here to pen. Okay, and there's a command called pen down. So right here, okay, I do a pen down. Voila, look at that. So, okay. Now, the other thing I can do is I can move this over here and click on it, and I can draw circles all day long. Okay. Now, what I'd also like to do is I'd also like to make these overlapping circles. Okay. So, what I'm going to, in order to do that, I'm going to go, once it draws one circle, I'm going to have it pick the pen up. Okay. And I'm going to have it move. I'm going to have it move. Let's see what's here. We should probably have it move about 15 steps. Okay. And then I'm going to have it turn 10 degrees. So turn 10. Okay. And then what I'd also like to do is I'd like to have it change the pen color. Okay, so let's go back to the pen here. And what I can do is I can change the pen color by a number. And all that does is each color is assigned a number. So I'm going to change the pen color by 10. Okay. And then I'm going to put the pen down. Well, this is getting pretty complex, so hopefully you can follow this. So we'll put the pen down. Okay, now what I want it to do is I want it to repeat this whole section here. Okay, and I want it to repeat that about, I'm going to say about 36 times. Okay, so I'm going to go back to control here, and right here. Okay, so now notice this goes all the way around here. So it's going to repeat this, and I'm going to make this 36. Okay, so let's try that once. Oh, look at that. So we'll just let it run for till it's done. Okay, so there it did. It drew that. Now, notice I had these other circles on the board here. Somehow we got to get rid of those. So what we can do is we can actually tell it to erase those. And so I'm going to go here to the pen command again, and we're just going to tell it to erase all. So before it starts, it's going to erase everything. Okay, so let me click on it again. Okay, see there it did. It cleared that. So now we got a clear screen. It's going to draw our circles. But now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we start this off in a certain part of the screen. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to start about right here, approximately. Okay, let's start it again. Okay, and you can see it's moving. Now, one of the things we can do is if I don't want it to run all this time, I'm going to hit stop. Okay, so it stopped. Now, what we could do is, let's see what's here. Notice if I take this ball and put it about right there. Okay, notice here it's got the XY coordinates in it right here. Okay, what the X and Y coordinates do tell it to go to a certain position. Okay, so now let's run it again. Now I'm going to put the ball over here. Okay, notice how it started in that place where we told it to go to. Now notice it's a little bit too low. It hit the bottom here. So we got to move up, which is the Y direction, and we want to move it over here to the left a little bit more too. Okay, so we'll wait till it's done. Okay, so the Y position, we want to make it a little bit higher. So in this particular case, I'm going to make it 0. We're going to kind of start it in the middle of the screen. And this one, I'm going to make it minus 145. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, so we keep getting closer. The other thing we can do is we can tell it to point in a certain direction. So I'm going to tell it to point in direction 90. Okay, so let's do that once. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so since we pointed it in a different direction, it's going to look a little bit different this time. Okay, and we're going to stop it. Okay, another thing we can do is we can change the pen size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the pen size, which is right here, and I'm going to set the pen size. It's at 1 right now. Let's make it 3 and see what that looks like. And see how the line is thicker? It's still changing colors. So you can make it whatever thickness you want. Okay, so we got the pen size. Now, one of the things I would like to do is I would like to, when it gets done here, notice how you still see the ball right here? What I'd like to do is I'd like to get rid of that ball. So I think I can go here to looks, and when it gets done I can tell it to hide the ball. Okay, but when I do that, I've also got at the beginning, I've got to tell it to show the ball. Okay, so let's do that over again. I'm going to put it, drag the ball over here. We'll try it again, and we'll see once what happens now. Will we be able to see that ball? Okay, so the ball disappeared. Okay, now one of the things that you can do here is you can tell it to start when you hit a key on the keyboard. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let's see what's here. If we go to events, okay, I can go when I can tell it to go when I click the flag, or let's do this. Let's take this, put it over here. Okay, so when I press the space key, okay, it'll start. So if I hit the space key, it starts. Okay, I just hit the space key. Now notice every time I run it, I didn't notice this till just now, it says change the pen size by 3. Okay, so I'm going to actually I'm going to replace this block. So if you want to replace a block, I'm going to drag this down like so, and then I can drag this down to separate it, and I want to get rid of that one. I'm going to drag it over here, and I want to set the pen size to a certain size. Okay, so I'm going to set that to 3, and then I'm going to drag this back up again. So now let's run that again. Okay, remember I can hit the space bar. So hit the space bar. So that's it. I'm going to stop here. Why don't you give it a try? See if you can duplicate this.